the laws of Yichud, it's in Hilchos Ishus, 22, subsection 10. So, Mutter lis yachid im shtei vomis, oy im shtei tsaris. It is permissible to be secluded with two Yevomis. I don't know what an English word is for Yevoma, but it's somebody who passed away, and their wife, and they don't have any children, and their wife now gets married to the brother, who will carry on his brother's name.
Right.
Or alternatively, he has the choice, or nowadays he doesn't have the choice. We don't do Yevama. We only do Chalitza. Back then it was if he didn't want to be Yibamim, he didn't want to take the brother's wife, then he would do Chalitza, which is a whole thing that they do with untying the shoe, and basically, and she spits on the ground next to him and says, you don't want to take to carry on your brother's name and whatever.
I think Yevama in the shortest way is a brother's childless widow.
Yeah. Oh, good. Very good.
And
right.
Then Chalitza, yeah.
Right. And then she says, oh, you don't want to take your brother's name. And he says, well, you already killed my brother. So, but, so two Yevamis, you are allowed to, meaning I'm assuming at this point, what he means is if two brothers died childless.
Right.
They're these two widows. Right. Or shtei tzaris means two competing wives, right? It means two wives of one person who they don't, and tzaris means like they make each other tzaris. They don't like each other. Ay im isha v'chamusa, or a woman and her mother-in-law. By the way, this all, if you remember, we had this, right? We had this case the other way around by who can you believe? You remember this? Who can you believe? If generally speaking, if a woman says that the husband divorced her, you believe her. Oh no, sorry, no, not by that. It was by something else, by aguna. If one witness says that her husband died, we believe them, but we don't. There's certain people we don't believe. Why? Because we assume them to have an agenda, because they dislike this person, so they have an agenda. So here it's similar to these same people, basically, right? So also a woman and her mother-in-law, oy im isha ubas baila, or a woman and the daughter of her husband, meaning her stepdaughter, oy isha ubas chamusa, or a woman and her mother-in-law's daughter. Why? Because they hate each other. Ve'ein mechafis zu al zu. What do we say mechafa is? You remember?
That means like to cover, I think. It means, I guess, that they feel close to, or that they've.
No, it's the other way around. They hate each other. I think
So it's a mechafa, so that they're not feeling close to.
Right.
Saying mechafa would be like
right. They're not gonna.
A mechafa, I'm not in your bubble. I'm not in your.
Well, no, meaning they're basically means they're makbid on each other. They're looking for problems.
I got it. Cozy, because cozy, like you're cozy under the blankets, and right, used also as a word for blankets because you're covered over. I'm not cozy with this person.
Right, they're not cozy with each other. You went on the slide. Yeah, good job. See, we have a what's it called? We have a.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big.
Say hey, Yodah.
Hi.
See. Oh.
Hey.
Not on the slide. Anyway, so basically they're oh, you want to say hi again, huh? Come here and say hi. Come say hi. Yeah. Okay, so they're basically they're makpid on each other. They're looking to poke each other. So therefore you're not gonna get away with sneaking around with her, because this other person is there, and they're not gonna, unlike like a regular two women together, right, where you need three and not two is not good enough. But with these, in the case of these people, they're looking for problems. So they're not gonna, what's it called? They're gonna be, you know what I'm saying? They're not gonna. The other woman knows that this person's not gonna let them get away with it. V'chein, so too im isha sheyesh ima tineikus ketana. That also a woman that has with her a small child, sheyidas tam bia, that she knows she has, hi Rafa, he has the taste. She has the here, you want to say? She has the taste of relations, basically. Meaning what? That she's not going to what's the right word for mizana? To be loose in front of her, to cheat, to be a cheater or whatever. But it's not always cheating, because mizana could also be, it could be she's not married, right? Because, but whatever it is, like, she's meaning she's not going to cheat on the Eibishter.
Pardon the expression, but I think the modern word of slutty is the best word, because it doesn't.
Yeah, she's not gonna she's not gonna like whore herself, basically.
But it's even more than, because it's not necessarily she's selling her body for money or anything.
Right.
It just means that she's
not gonna. Lifi shehi megala es seida, because then she is revealing her secrets. Meaning the child, I guess, is the child, right? Because a child doesn't understand. Oh, mommy was with the nice uncle guy. Wait, what? Right? A child doesn't. She's not. The child is not going to keep her secrets.
Right.
She's going to reveal them. She's going to, because they talk. They don't know what they're. Which things. Maybe she doesn't want me to say anything about this thing, or. Mommy told me not to tell you about ... right? Yeah, it's funny. I remember when we moved to we moved from LA to Pittsburgh, right? So my parents, they didn't want everybody knowing their business, this, that, and the other. Most people didn't know we were leaving. It was almost like it's funny. Only it takes my father to do something like this, like a skip out in the middle of the night thing. So my mother told my brother Levi was 5 at the time, right? So she told him, so you didn't tell anybody, right? He said, no, I didn't tell anybody. Only Rabbi Arnold and Rabbi Brody. He said, don't tell anybody. So I only told Rabbi Arnold and Rabbi Brody. So so anyway, it's talking about something like this, I guess.
They don't count. They're trustworthy people.
Right. You said don't tell anybody. I didn't tell just anybody.
Who are the people you're supposed to tell when you have a secret? No, I think every family should have the trustworthy people in life.
Right. So now, Chalkis Mechekik, Teneikis Kitano, Sheedas Tambia, Bebach Tosav, B'Shem Marshal, de B'Yifud Derech, Loi Mahanikitana, B'Shemo Telich L'Mokum Tzenua V'Tizna. So hang on a second. We just said before, if you remember when we were talking about the additional requirements of seclusion when you're outside of the city, when you're traveling, these kind of things, right? So we said, right? Didn't we just say that we said that the woman who takes the small children with her to protect her, to meaning to make it appropriate, is this also, you're not allowed to do this. So wait a second. So how is he saying this? So he's bringing this up again and saying that this is talking about in the city. In the city, the small child helps, but on the way, it doesn't. A small child doesn't help, because she can go to a high, she can go, tell the kid, okay, you wait here, or whatever, you wait here in the lobby, and whatever, and she's gonna go to a hidden place and have that's I think tizna. I think the best word for tizna is illicit relations.
Illicit.
She will go and have illicit relations there. Right. So now Tinekis. So that's it for the Chag's B'chek on that seif. The Beis Shmuel talks about the mutadlis yachdim shtei yivamis. You're allowed to be secluded with two yivamis, with two childless widows, right? Afilu misha askov imenoshim muter, and this applies, right? This thing of being with of the women who hate each other, it applies even to somebody who works, whose trade is with women. Right, meaning obviously he's talking about now, according to Rashi, that holds that it's, I think it was Rashi, I think that holds that it's worse, as opposed to the Rambam that holds that that's better. But he's saying even somebody that works with women, it's fine. Why? Because what's the whole problem we said with the guy who works with women? According to those who feel it's worse, is he's used to them. They feel comfy around him. He knows how to talk to women. He's smooth. He's all right. Okay, but in this case, it's not about him. It's about the women are makbid on each other. So basically, they hate each other more than they like him, something like this. So therefore, it's not even somebody who works with women, that women are more comfortable around him, but even so, because they hate each other, it's not a problem. So to a woman who has a small child with her, he's bringing up the same thing that the Chalkas Mechekik said, that the Bachs wrote in the name of the Rashal, that b'derech le'mahaniktana, that while traveling, the small. What's interesting is he dafka on all this. He says dafka like a girl child. It's a girl, a little girl. I don't know if a little boy is also equals that. So anyways, it doesn't help the little child, because why? Maybe she'll go to a hidden place and have illicit relations there. And why does it help here? Why does the small child help in this case? Because she doesn't give herself over to relations when the child is present, right? Yichud ima asur. Aleph. What's in Sif Aleph? You see what it says there? I think is she.
Hi, I'm Jackson.
Meaning to be yichud with the child is awesome. Why? Because there we suspect. One second, let me see what's the yeah. Because there we suspect that he might have relations with her forcibly. Aval Khan, but here, here you're not worried about him what's it called with the assaulting the child. Why? Because the mother's there. The mother's there to protect her, right? Meaning this child protects the right. This child, when she's with the mother in the city, right? So first of all, it's two points. He makes one point is outside of the city, no
older
good.
than 3 years old.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, Zial says under 3 years old is not a problem.
Right. So we're talking about over 3 years old, right? But he's saying that he's pointing out that just like we say in Yud Aleph, this we're talking about the mother with the child, but to be alone with the child is also he's not allowed.
Right.
It's not that the child is there and therefore it's meaning it go. He's saying it goes both ways. That you're allowed to be secluded with the mother because the child is there,
Right. And you could be
and she won't have illicit relations in front of her child.
in with the
And,
child.
and the other way around, the child, we're not worried because the mother's there, and a mother protects her child. So we're also not worried about it. Right? So that what he's talking about in if Yud Aleph, that he's not allowed to be with the child, that's because we're worried about that he will have forcible relations with the child. Right? Avol Khan, but here, here the mother's with her. We're not worried about that. Oh, the Peter Leichashinan, the Einem Meseres Zatzma Labia, and we don't worry about. So that's as far as forcibly, right? But Pitui, how do you call it Pitui when it's a seduction? Seduction, right. We're not worried about. Why? Because the child doesn't. She doesn't have desires. So even though we're worried about forcibly, but to be mefata her to what's the word again? Seduce her, we're not worried about. Why? Because she doesn't what's it called? She doesn't give herself over to relations because she's not a young girl like that. Doesn't have desires for that. Yud Aleph 11. A girl under 3, v'tinek, and a young child, under 9. You're allowed to be secluded with them because they did not make this decree besides for a woman who is fit to have relations, and a man who's fitting to have relations. What do you mean? Who's there? One of them is Ben's. Ben Shui fully, I guess. I'm wearing black. Okay. So, right, and basically, for let's forget everything we know about what people consider in modern American society. But according to the Teda, a girl under 3 and a boy under 9, right? Like, isn't the thing with right? We know this from Rivka, right? When Rivka and Yitzchak, that she was 3, even though he actually didn't have relations with her till later.
Right, they waited until she was over Bas Mitzvah.
But right, meaning it wasn't consummated till later. But so therefore, since that's the halachic line,
I think we could easily say so biologically.
Right.
What is old enough to be driven?
I don't know because then 3. I think it might have to do more with at what point do we say that a man's gonna that a man or a woman is gonna have any sort of desire or something like this.
I don't know. I'm saying more biologically
because biologically at 3, what woman can have a child at 3?
Hold on. First of all, yes, but secondly, we'll get to that. I'll get to that next. But first of all, even before that, halacha talks about elsewhere that under 3 years old, if the child was assaulted, raped, that it's still a basula. That and the mashal that's given.
Oh, she's still considered a virgin.
What?
She's still considered a virgin, even though she was.
Just physically, biologically, not mentally. Biologically, she's still a virgin. It's like poking an eyeball, and it'll just tear up.
Right.
Meaning it'll bounce back. It won't necessarily tear.
Right. Meaning almost like how babies hit their nose in its cartilage, so they don't break their nose. There's no nose to break.
That's the idea. Now, again, there's always exceptions in how that actually plays out. But halacha seems to take a stance that biologically under 3, there won't actually be a difference. But older than 3, that biologically something shifts. Right. What's interesting is, and you see, and also by men, the whole thing by 9, I forget where, but it talks about how like a boy marrying someone, let's say, who's older for whatever reason, and the fact that he can or he can't physically do it, and that's right. At 9. So
right. Meaning we're taking the emotional aspect of it aside completely. We're looking at physical, biologically,
perspective and culture and what people are into. It's just physically there's nothing happening there.
Right.
Nothing, but obviously, but now with regards to getting pregnant, Taka, first of all, in Torah it talks about a very young child getting pregnant, which we'll get to in a second. Not Rivka. People think Rivka. No, they waited until 12.
Right.
But Dina, if you just do the math, if for all the brothers, 5 siblings up were 13. Shimon and Levi were 13 at the time.
Right, at the time, right. At the time they killed.
And and according to Medrash.
Wait a second, but isn't there a Medrash that she was Shimon's twin?
So hold on. No, not Shimon's twin. There's a Medrash that she married Shimon.
No, that also, but she was Shimon's twin.
No, she was after.
Medrash like that, I'm pretty sure.
She's the one who Leah davened and said, "You can't be a boy because otherwise Rachel's not even going to have
so she was the only one that wasn't a twin.
She was after everybody. Yeah,
because everybody else had a twin.
Or maybe she had a twin sister, but either way, either she didn't have a twin.
No, but I'm saying no. So I'm saying she was the only one that I think that maybe that wasn't a twin.
So there's a matter about that. Yeah, about that either she didn't have a twin or that it was 2 girls. But either way, she was after Levi, Yehuda, and who are the other 2 brothers?
Right. Was it? Reuben, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda.
And then Dina.
Right. When you saw Zvulun was from the concubine, and then Zvulun.
So who are the?
Oh no, Yisachar Zvulun. You're right, because Don Naphtali Gad Asher was from the concubine.
That's like 5 siblings later, and there's a medrash. More probably, there's a medrash that from that rape, that's where Osnas came from. Osnas, Yosef's wife, came from that. So according to that medrash, Dina was how old already when she got pregnant? But
yeah, whatever you want.
But you can look up, you can actually Google in more recent times, in the past, I forget when it was, like in the 40s or 30 something, there's a 5-year-old girl. She had a baby in England. Right. The whole thing, the modern science records very young child, and not with today. Oh, there's GMOs and everything, and affecting the hormones of girls.
Right. So you could say even if it's not even if it's not common, but it's possible. Meaning
that's what I'm saying. So again, I think it's biologically. So it has nothing to do with people's perspectives. Oh, these sickos are looking at 3-year-olds.
No, not only that, and a boy at 9, it is possible biologically. Even though he doesn't have. Remember, that's the whole thing, right? That's the whole difference he draws here, right? That he says you can't be with her, only you're worried about rape, you're not worried about seduction. Right. Because even though this girl, right, let's say a girl is 7 years old. Well, you can't seduce her because emotionally she's not at that point.
Going on the mental state.
But physically the fact is it's possible. Right. Okay. Very good.
It's not to say Chas v'Shalom that people should do these things or would do these things. It's just
100%. It's a matter of
possible.
Right.
And again,
So listen, if the mother's not there, right? Yeah, 100%, right.
So,
Yep, fine. Okay, very good. So tonight she was mashal is shleisha, a girl who is less than 3 says the chelkas mechekek. Aval amayla mishleisha. However, over 3, av she'ein meiseres atzm labia. Even though she doesn't give herself over to intercourse, meaning she doesn't have a what's it called? You can't seduce her. She doesn't have that emotionally. She doesn't give herself over. So you're worried about, which is interesting because he says rape and seduction, but
well, there's a star here in this one.
Oh, mine doesn't, but it should be la'inus. Because the whole point is, if she doesn't give herself over, how could she be open to seduction? Unless maybe it's not seduction based on on sexual feelings, but rather on you want to go to Disneyland or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
You have this lollipop and look the other way. Sadly,
whatever it is. But no. But by the way, this is not in modern history. I hate to tell you, it wouldn't be the first time such a thing has happened.
Yeah, let's play the classic. Sadly, it's very disturbing, but let's play a game. Let's
right. Yeah. No, and that's part of the whole thing is that why sometimes these cases are very hard is because the child doesn't even really understand what exactly what he asked and that it's wrong and that because I'll give you an example. Okay, so there's the classic case where the child obviously doesn't understand what's going on, right? But they knew something is wrong, right?
They know something's not normal.
Okay,
right.
but guess what? And what if she didn't? Then it's not wrong.
Right.
It's the same. It's the same wrong.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's sort of the case here as we're talking about. So maybe that's what he means by seduction over here, is that he means not because he just said it himself. She doesn't. She's emotionally. She doesn't give herself over to this. But so perhaps what he means by seduction is not direct, but like an indirect form of
It doesn't say what. It just says the star goes to on the side. It says ayin b'chalkas asada masha kazav lahagia kan. And maybe that's what he.
Okay, so maybe it's something like that, right? No, because otherwise his words simply don't make sense.
Right.
Right. The chain kosav atur b'tchilas hasimin, and so too the tur writes in the beginning of the simin. And meaning when we first said also this yachid, right in the beginning we said you're not allowed to be secluded with these people and these people and these people. The Tur writes there, and provided that she's over 3 years old. And for nothing the Bach created a non-existent argument between the Rambam and the Tur. Ayin Olav, see over there what he's talking about.
Okay.
Okay, anyway. Yodah base. Androgynous. What do you call it? It's called androgynous or whatever.
Yeah.
That's somebody who has, remind me, neither sign, right? I believe androgynous has neither. Right, a tumtum has both male and female signs.
No, I think Zab's tumtum as in hidden. Androgynous means both. I could be wrong.
What means both?
No. Hold on. I'm just gonna Google it.
Yeah.
Both. I think, well, having the physical characteristics of both. Yeah.
Okay. So tumtum has none.
Tumtum as in like it means hidden, meaning
hidden, right? It means like yeah.
You don't know either.
Right.
But,
no, it says in fact I believe the modern Hebrew word when they call somebody a timtum, like it means somebody who's like it means like idiot, but it means because like meaning like stopped up, like you have a stopped up brain. What's wrong with you? Like, why would you do such thing? But they call somebody mitumtam, right? Mitumtam means it when in context it basically means like stupid,
stuffed up.
But it means stuffed up brain.
Right.
Okay, so somebody with both simonim is not allowed to be secluded with women. However, the imnis yachid, however, if like he or she was see this is a very modern see we don't know the pronouns of this person, of this androgynous.
Exactly, the correct terminology is
he or she.
Them, they. Their pronouns.
He's definitely not a they, unless it's a royal androgynous. then it's a they. But
now you get political. Now you're starting to get.
With a royal, then the royal is they. Anyway. So he or she, because that's essentially what a androgynous is. If they see, now I have to say they because it only makes sense.
I'll tell you, Matt Mella, I will say there's a difference even halachically between the androgynous and the tumtum. There are enough communities because the androgynous is more of a them they because there's actively both seemingly.
Right, they're both there.
Fine, but there is
a tumtum is just you don't know which it is.
A tumtum is we don't know which because it's covered.
Not only that, a tumtum can become not tumtum later.
Right, there could be a procedure.
For example, let's say they do a surgery and they see what and they figure out what it is, and a tumtum is something we just don't know what.
Right.
So an androgynous in either case is not allowed to be secluded with women.
Right. So a tumtum is a he or she. Androgynous, I would say, is a
It's a he and she. Is a he she. A he and she.
he or no. What I'm saying is a he or she. A tumtum.
Also,
Tumtum
right.
or she. Androgynous is a they because we don't know. It's a he and she.
Right. But at the end of the day, the halacha is
The whole
that
point is that there's a
even the androgynous is really not both. Why? Because there is only halachically two types of people: a male, female. So this androgynous also is actually it's a suffix. We don't know.
This is specified that lahalacha asur to be yachid, but if they are, we're not going to say we don't.
Right. So you can't give them makis. Why? Because a suffix. At the end of the day, because there's a suffix and because it's a deiraisa, so you're not allowed to do it at the same time because there's a suffix. You're not allowed to give them the lashes.
That's on them being misachid with a woman.
Right.
Ish misachid in one of these people.
Right. So that's right. Maybe issue suffix because it's suffix. Right. Aval ish misyach medreginus v'im atumtum. But a man can be secluded with an androgynous and a tumtum. I hopefully one of them will explain why and what's the difference exactly.
Yeah.
So the Chelkas Mechayik says, well, let's start with the
it's first. The Bishmol is for androgynous. He's on earlier.
Androgynous ein mitziyach de manashim. So somebody with both signs cannot be secluded with women. Hatam. Why? Dehu misave leisha gemura. Because he has a desire for a woman, for a 100% woman. L'chein asur l'siach de manashim. Therefore, he cannot be secluded with women. The ish, however, ish ain't a misava. So meaning, what he's saying is that these kind of people, which the truth is, by the way, in modern, even if there's cases of them, we don't really. It's a little. We don't necessarily know exactly it's very complicated what the actual guidelines are that make somebody this androgynous that he's talking about.
Right.
But in either case, so clearly an androgynous basically has fully operational parts. Because if they didn't have fully operational parts, then
at least chemically, not necessarily could they birth a child.
Right. No, right. That I don't know, but right, but we're not talking about attraction from like, from my brain.
Which
talking about attraction, sexual attraction.
What I'm saying is, if you look chemically, it would make sense because why do they have the male genitalia or signs of masculine energy?
Right.
It's because of a higher level of testosterone.
Testosterone or something. Yeah, there has to be. Yeah.
It would show on so maybe that's what they're saying that causes. That's chemically
right, but also you have to say that there's working parts physically. Why? Because if there's no physical parts, then what kind of intercourse could there be?
Interesting. That would be considered usher, right?
Right. You have to. In other words, the parts have to work. Just physically, right? So I guess it's both things. It goes together.
No, but you know what? I have to disagree for a second because elsewhere we talk about what it's usher for a man to be with a man or a woman to be with a woman. It doesn't matter about the parts. That's still considered in the Torah's eyes. That's still relations. Going through those behaviors. There are some people.
What do you mean? Wait, but what do you mean by the behaviors?
Because what?
What do you mean by those behaviors? There's guidelines as to what's considered.
That's what I mean. What I'm saying is that some people some modern people they try to play with halacha and they try to pretend, that it's really not usher because it's impossible for a man to be with a man like a woman.
No, that's different. But I'm saying, in order for the man to be with anyone or anything, his part got to work.
Not necessarily. It could be like a woman with a woman.
Yeah, but there's no maybe that's why there is no actual isser of a woman with a woman.
The Rambam holds that it's deiraisa.
Okay.
But
what's the guideline? But what's his exact guideline to what's considered?
So that's what I mean. That's the difference. So yeah, but I'm just saying that elsewhere, right. No exact guidelines. I'm just saying there are those that say, and it does not require working genitalia and a complete insertion, meaning the overall act, going to bed together in a sexual manner. Is what is
right, so I guess if in a sense we could say even if it's not completely working, but as long as he has this attraction,
and that's what we're saying.
So he's still right.
Yeah, somebody who has
and whoever this androgynous is exactly, apparently that's one of the characteristics is that he is attracted to women.
That's seemingly what the Shmuel holds.
That's what he's saying anyway. Yeah.
That's what it is. That androgynous has attraction to women, to fully blooded women.
So therefore, this is why he's not allowed to be secluded with a woman. Why? Because what's the whole thing of yichud? Is like we said before, right? Is maybe you'll come to sin.
Right.
Okay, but in order to come to sin, there has to be, like we've seen there's a string that runs through this whole thing. There has to be an attraction to sin. Right. There has to be that we say that the person would have a desire for such.
Right.
Ish, however, yeah. But however, so why by a timtum by a timtum adregis with a man is not a problem, only with a woman, because a man does not have a desire for a maybe woman, for a questionable woman, if that's unknown. And therefore, the other way around, androgynous can be. If we say, wait a second, but it's a suffix isha. Maybe she's a man, maybe she's a woman. So she can't be with a woman because maybe she's a man. So why don't we say she can't be with a man because maybe she's a woman? Because remember now, by a child you had the issue of assault. By grown people, that's not the issue. It's that you're worried about seduction. Okay, right. She can't seduce the androgynous is unable to seduce a man, and therefore we're not worried about that. And that is from the Prisha. Yodah in the Chelkes Mechekek. Mipnei shu safik va'afilu hachim misyachid im anoshim. And even so, the androgynous is allowed can be secluded with men. The ein isur yichud rak be'isha vadois. That the prohibition of seclusion is specifically with a for sure woman. V'loi nechshadu Yisrael al safik zachar, k'meish loi nechshadu al vaday zachar. Just like, right, for example, a man and another man. Well, it's possible for a man and a man to have relations, right? But we don't suspect that that's going to be why, because it's not the nature, and therefore we don't suspect it. And the same thing, because a man, he says it in a little bit different words, but it lines up with how the Prisha said it also. So he says, and therefore we also, somebody who's maybe a man, we also don't suspect, which is basically in a way another way of saying what the Beis Shmuel brought from the Prisha, that if it's not, in other words, that naturally a man is not attracted to such, and therefore we don't suspect that it's a problem. So just like two men could be together, right? Could be secluded together, and we don't suspect that they're gonna have homosexual relations, right? So the same thing we're not going to suspect in this case also. Yud Gimel. Tiknu chacham sheyiyu anoshim misapri zu im zu beveis hakisei. V'yish lo yikon isham ish v'yisyach dimoin. What does it mean, misapris? They should tell each other. They should. I guess it means they accompany.
They should talk to one another. What's fascinating is that
they should go where?
We have a halacha elsewhere that b'chlal, when going to the bathroom, you're not supposed to talk in the bathroom.
Right.
And some will say even if you're not doing any business in there, just b'chlal in the room, you shouldn't talk.
Right.
But here, so that we're saying women should talk to each other, which, by the way, there's a halachic source for why women always go together to the bathroom, right?
Right.
So many comedians joke about that. Like, ladies are always like, "Hey, I got to go to the bathroom. You coming?" Like,
right.
Yeah, halachic source for it. Why? So that a man will hear, because we didn't have gendered bathrooms.
But not anymore, by the way.
What?
According to the Ramah, not anymore.
Well, because that's what I'm saying. Because back in the day, all bathrooms were non-gendered.
Not right.
They were non-gendered, and they were public bathrooms. So to make sure there's ladies in there, I'm not going to go in because it could be yichud.
Well, and it's also, there's a difference in this. The Ramah is going to say now, dafka be mayhem. Some say specifically in their days, because the bathrooms were in the field.
Because of the other rules of yichud, which is, it's in the middle of nowhere, no one's going to walk in at any time. In the city, in a public restaurant or whatever,
right in the city, it's not you're not right.
Walk in at any moment.
I mean, again, provided provided the other halachas of yichud are that they're not in a house together by themselves. But yeah, that's a good example. Is a good example would be like, so let's say in a restaurant or something, as opposed to an outhouse in the forest.
Right.
Or
if it's late at night, let's say, like Lamaisa, let's say, even in the city, but if it's late at night and you're alone, you're a chef and you have the waitresses that are working with you at the end of the event. Everyone's gone home after the wedding. It's just you and these two other ladies in this big place. It doesn't matter that it's in the city. It doesn't matter because it's late at night. Then there's
a bigger problem.
Who's going to walk in? Then it would be.
Right.
But I find it fascinating that Badavka women should go together and talk out loud so that people hear them, make sure there's no yichud. That's beautiful.
Yudalid leitelech isha bashuk ubno achareha.
Holy smokes!
A woman should not go in the market, and her son is behind her. Her child is behind her.
Right. So always make sure her kids are in front of her. Why?
By the way, this is
wild stuff.
By the way, this is also a common sense sort of thing. Bichlal, for example, besides what he's about to talk about here, right? Which is still a common sense thing. By the way,
safety.
Even nowadays, it's a common sense sort of thing
for safety.
But also to that you can see they're not running in the street, etc., etc. Why? Because Shemo Yitve's Bena, maybe they will grab her son.
Kidnap her kid.
And she's going to run after them as a mother would, obviously, right? And then these evil people who took the kid will rape her.
Whoa!
In fact, maybe that was it's like they don't really what do they need the kid for? That's the whole point of taking the. Hello, you want to say hi? Hello.
Hey.
So it's a real, and it makes, and by the way, this is a real thing. For example, the kid's behind, all of a sudden the kid gets more behind. So this is practical advice is when you're walking in the market or whatever it is, and you're walking with this, right? And
next to me or in front of me.
In Disneyland or whatever. Well, Disneyland's maybe different because it's gated and it's not so easy to take somebody out.
But still, my kids know they have to be next to me or in front of me. No behind Tati.
Yeah, I need to see you. Yeah. So very practical advice here. Now, in this case, he's talking about also an additional thing. Not only will it take your kid, and then but they're taking, and then when you run after them, right? So then she could get into problems because of these evil people. Tes Vav. Ein memanim afilu odom neman v'kosher liyes shemer b'chatzir sheyesh b'nashim. We do not appoint even a trusted and kosher person to be a guard in a how do you say a chatzir courtyard, that there's women there. Even if he's standing outside, because there is no, how do you call it, like a trust guarantor, right? Yeah, it's like a trustee, right? Isn't the apatrop is like the court appointed? What do you call it?
Is a better word, right? Because for like orphans or whatever, right?
Right, because
the trustee
basically means we don't because when it comes to arayos, when it comes to illicit relations, we don't trust anybody as being beyond that.
Meaning, which goes back to, by the way, who was the story of the Tanaim who are walking around, who are like us. We're not like what's Markel Bar Papi,
right? Now, by the way, this is a big deal. For example, and I've actually had regarding certain things like schools and things, and a girls' school having male guards. Right. I've had people complain about this, that they're very unhappy with these kind of situations. And the truth is, if you look into some schools that are makbid, first of all, not to have men teaching women, girls teaching in a girls' school.
Right.
Also the guards, not to have
Well, I wonder if I could see it being a difference where you have like the outdoor front door guards being men, but the indoor guards, like the ones who like patrol the halls and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Now, also, it's an interesting thing because maybe he'll talk about this, but we have to remember, didn't we just say before that one man with a lot of women is not a problem?
Right. So then, what's the problem with this chutzner?
So I guess we have to be saying, according to this svara that holds 3 women is okay, right? It must mean a chutzner that has 2 women in it. It can't mean 3 women, because what's the problem then if there's 3 women? Right?
Interesting. So Mamish talking about it must be a chutzner, like
Well,
private.
according to that svara, according to this svara, that even that no amount of women but according to this svara, that 3 women is what's it called? It's fine. Anyway, let's see. Maybe he'll say something about this in Chag's Mechekik. Yeah, Chag's Mechekik says she'ein apiturapis la'arayis. There's nobody is trustworthy when it comes to illicit relations. We don't have faith in anybody, basically. Again, obviously, unless he's like this by Papi, which if Rav and Rav Yehuda weren't like a Papi, so I don't imagine what you'd have to be like. Even though it doesn't mean they weren't big tzaddikim, but they weren't tested in this thing.
It was proven there was an event that happened that this guy ends up, But even that, I feel like even if it were me, just because I had the strength that one time, I don't know what's next time. That happens all the time with different typhus I have, different Yitzhahara. Like this time I was strong enough. Next time, who knows?
The Chag's Mechekik explains very nice here. Something very beautiful. Because we said, wait a second, how about according to Rashi that holds that 3 women is not a problem, right? So he's going to say basically that an apitropis, right, a guard who's appointed to protect them, he is considered a person whose work is with women. He trusted to them. And if you remember, according to Rashi, three women is fine so long as what?
He's not.
That's a great, It's beautiful.
Of course, it's brilliant.
Even according to the opinion of Rashi, that one man with many women, which as we said before means 3 at most, right? Is allowed. Even so, here that he is a guard regularly. Even if he's standing and outside, it's not allowed. And regular seclusion, meaning with women who have no relationship with somebody, who have no rapport with somebody. It's not the same. Shahu apitropis, because he is the apitropis. He's the trusted, the appointee. Umemuna aleim, and he's appointed on them. This is even worse than somebody who works with women, because here there's an even stronger sense of trust, because he's the one he's going to watch out for us. He's the right, which again brings us back, like we were talking about before, when it's like a rabbi, a bishop, something like this. Why it's so much worse? Because it's and not just is it worse, but furthermore, it's more of a reason why in Judaism we don't look at it as like, oh, he's a rabbi, it's okay. No, it's just, and the rabbi is actually worse. Why? Because he's trusted.
Right. Always remember, humans are humans.
Right? Yeah. No, not just that, and he's a trusted person. He's someone who people will actually trust, right?
In a position of trust.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a very beautiful Chag's Mechekik, if I may say so myself, how he explains that. A person should not appoint a trustee upon his house, because he should not lead his wife to sinning. And like we said before, when you have an apitropis in the house, he's a trusted figure, it becomes a cozy situation, and these things can happen. Oh wait, time out. We missed Beis Shmuel on the last thing. Ein memana afilu adam neman v'kosher. We don't appoint even a trusted and kosher person. Afilu l'das Rashi. So he's gonna looks like he's gonna say the same thing as basically. Even according to Rashi, the sfira lei misha ini askav im nashim mutar the siachdim nashim had because malkum kan gorat feidu shemel b'kvius. So he says the same thing. He just says what the Chalkis Mechayik says. Now a person should not appoint a trustee on his house. Bagemara says the Chalkis Mechayik. Bagemara Amru Perikoreya. If not for the fact that Paitifar had not appointed Yosef to as the right, he was the Bechol Beisei Neman, right? He was trusted in all of his house, and it would not have been this. It would not have come to this situation where the wife was trying to seduce Yosef, right? Okay, let me switch the book to the other side because now I got the other side of the page. Yud Zayin. Asur l'talmid chacham lishkain b'chater sheyesh by almana. A talmid chacham, right? Why do we say talmid chacham? A scholar, a Torah scholar, is I'm not sure if he means just mamish a Torah scholar or he means like an upstanding person or something, whatever.
Like what we say, probably when we say like in Ram with regards to like the trust that what's the thing of the chacham, whatever, like it's a certain status of like they're not like a chacham or chaver, like more than chaver though, like the Talmud chacham, like they're trusted with certain things like banais and meisers and stuff.
Yeah. So a Talmud chacham is not allowed to live in a courtyard that a widow lives in. Afilu ein mesiyachdima, even if he's not secluded with her. Mipnei hachshad, because of we worry about the almana's there, and he might get right. He might become attracted or whatever, and he might develop a desire for him.
Right.
Elo im kain ishtay imay, unless his wife also lives, unless it's a married Talmud chacham. So he's meaning a single Talmud chacham.
Well, no, not just married. Yeah, it could be married, but maybe she lives elsewhere.
Right. Fine. Okay. Yeah. Fine. That makes sense. Also, right. Maybe she lives elsewhere, but usually, usually, why would the wife live elsewhere? It's a little bit weird, but it's fine. But yeah, but if that was the case, I guess also, based on his wording, anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
The guy she's got to live in house.
Right. Chalkis Mechayik. Bagemara. Which Gemara is it? Base Ayin Zayin.
Rabbi Tzvi?
Yeah, that makes sense, right? So, Masech Rabbi Tzvi, I guess. Is there such a?
Yeah, there's Masech Rabbi Tzvi.
Okay, so that's it. So Masech Rabbi Tzvi, which I guess there it talks about also who you like because of Rabbi Tzvi, who you're supposed to be around and not be around. Amru loy tishrei bar bei Rav Ushpiza.
I pulled it
down up. It's 22b.
Yeah, I'm on 22b already. Spiza should be pretty.
Yeah, like Spiza is like a visitor.
Ella had the Tani Rav Yosef Armalasa Aramlasa. Basically, consider what Rav Yosef teaches that Armalasa. I don't know how to nakuda that, but a widow light harbi kalba should not raise a dog because we're worried that
which by the way that's the next sif in here.
Bestiality, yeah, interesting. But light tishrei bar bi rab b'ushpiza, and she should not allow a student like her to dwell as a lodger b'ushpiza, as a guest ushpiza. Right. So she shouldn't rent.
Bar beirav, meaning a bar is like a son
The son of the house.
of the house of the Rav, meaning yeah.
Rent to yeshiva bacher.
So she shouldn't have male boarders.
Yeah, no mail borders, no rent, no tenants or whatever.
The Kosev Aravid, so the Aravid says the mashmos haloshin, that what is implied by this language, shelo yisachsin ima bevesa. If you take the Pashat Pshat of what it says there, right, it sounds like he's talking about he should not board in her house. Aval Magid Mishnah Hevi Raya Shemuter Lisachsin Derech Arai calls man she'en sham yichud. However, the Magid Mishnah brings a proof that he actually is allowed to board by her temporarily, so long as there's no issue of yichud. Meaning, let's say she has a basement apartment and it's locked.
Yeah, totally separate.
Right. And there's no actual yichud.
Actually, I had to do that here.
Right, because remember, here we're not talking about yichud. What we're talking about by Talmud Chacham, right? We're saying he cannot be there even if there's no yichud. Yichud, we know he can't be in the house.
Just sharing a courtyard for crying out loud. But yeah.
Right. So he says as long as there's no yichud and it's temporary, it's okay. The aim is rag diras keva b'chatzera, and living permanently in her courtyard is a problem. Afilu shalei b'veisa mamish, even if it's not mamish in her house. So basically, he puts a little bit of a context to this, right? I guess the reason is if he's there over a long time, then you develop
rapport.
Hello, how are you? Right, whatever. Then it's. Whereas temporarily, it's an Airbnb. She lives upstairs. There's a basement apartment. Right. Saying this is not an issue. Or alternatively, she owns several houses in the Haezer and she Airbnbs them out. Not a problem. But on a permanent, on a more. Now again, I don't know what temporary and permanent exactly.
The halachic definitions of those are
right. Because remember. Even in the Gemara, you don't have to say you can easily translate it the way that I've been saying it. Why? Because the Beiva, the Bar Beirav, the student is usually going to be there for the year or something. He's not coming for 4 days to be in school. So it lines up how that I've been saying it. It's not like it's. But in any case, he's making sure to clarify this basically.
The Airbnb is a great example, but I'll say on that point. First of all, you have. That's why in many cities, in San Francisco is actually a big problem because they have very strict laws on rent control and also to try to prevent homelessness. So there's laws if someone lives in a place for more than 30
squatting
days,
laws or whatever.
Yeah, then they're squatters. You can't kick them out if they don't have another place to move to. And so you have people who took advantage of that. There was a very famous case of a guy. They moved to Airbnb, and the moment it hit 30 days, they canceled the credit card that was hooked up to it, and then they just. Kick them out. It's a big problem. But on the other side, I was gonna say we had someone who was living in our basement, downstairs, and there's a door that connects. They're separate keys. They're separate outside locks. Fine.
Yeah, so the same thing.
I was going out of town for a couple of days, and I realized, oh, wait a second, yichud. So I called her up. I think it was Rebbe Overlander, and I ended up installing the door that connects from our kitchen to the basement. I installed a new lock that has on one side it's a deadbolt. It just you turn it. So from the basement, all he had to do was turn it. From my side, there's a keyhole and a keypad. So I set the code. I didn't tell my wife, and I hid the key where she didn't know. But that way, in an emergency, she could call me. I could tell her where it is. But and then also from her side, I put a simple little screw-in latch.
Right.
So she locked from her side. He locked from his side.
Right.
And I set that up before I left. I locked from both sides.
Right.
I left, and they just didn't touch it. But Lamai said that way there wouldn't be any shadows of yichud.
Right.
But whatever. Also, we had kids in the house and whatever. But whatever. It was just more.
Right. Yeah. So says the Beis Shmuel on this. Also the Talmud Chacham. Kein kos v'Rambam. This is what the Rambam writes. Aval arayvitz virulei davke lis achsin etzla asur. Right, lisachsin means to board by her as a regular thing, right? In her house, even so long as there's no yichud.
Right.
But to live in the same courtyard is fine. Ula Rambam, and according to the Rambam, muter lis achsin. And according to Rambam, it's the other way around. Also, lodrim of bekiviyas. So what does it mean? What does this all mean? What are we talking about? Lisachsin or not? So lisachsin to also l'rayvid. What it's talking about that lisachsin to board by her. Hainu she'eichel mishalah. I mean, see, mamish B&B. It's also the breakfast, not just the boarding.
That's what I mean. No, meaning she's not just the landlord. She's mamish. He's boarding means also food, like
right,
not just the landlord.
Right. Avol im mishalim lamutar. But if he pays her, I guess he pays her for food specifically, then it's fine.
So meaning if she's running a restaurant, like an inn that has a restaurant or something, that's not a problem. It's only it's like, it's bed and breakfast style where it's just all inclusive or something.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yudchas. Almana asur legad lekelef me'achshad. Like we said just before, when you had the Gemara, right? That was in the Gemara you read. Was a widow is not allowed to have a dog, to grow a dog up, meaning to have a pet dog. Which is interesting because I wonder how many people know this, because Beklal in the
I feel like a lot of people would do
it. And in the more modern world today. Right, it's there's people who are Shemesh Shabbos cautious, everything that have in fact, I know the Babishes that have dogs.
I'm saying, I could see very much someone who's living alone for safety.
Even more so wants a dog.
Yeah, and it would make sense.
Yeah, and so I wonder how many people know this thing, that a widow is not allowed to have a dog because of which we suspect, Chaf, and sorry, you test. Loy tikne isha avodim zecharim. Afilu ketanim pe'achshad. Similarly, a woman should not buy male slaves, even if they are small, even if they're children. Why? Same thing pe'achshad, because we suspect it's not going to go well. She can end up sitting with them.
Well, they'll end up sitting with her.
Well, yeah,
whatever it is.
Or together.
Well, together. Ideally,
together at the same time. Yeah,
whatever it is.
Either or both.
If you're gonna sin, it should be consensual, is what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Right. 100%. Well, yeah, but if he's a slave, what consent does he have?
That's a very good point. That's also, like you said,
how can he consent? There's no consent.
Modern day, there's a power imbalance.
It's like statutory rape, basically, when you have a slave, because a slave, he's you own the slave. They don't have the
Even just, you're the boss, she's the employee. That's not
right. Yeah, right. Like today, you have these kind of things where a person has, meaning he has a certain amount of influence, and he uses that influence.
Can't say no.
Right.
Chaf,
mi she'ein loy isha. A person who does not have a wife, loy yilmat tinaykes, should not teach girls.
Yeah.
A not married man should not teach girls.
Well, that's interesting that it's tinaykes, because the next thing shows it doesn't make a difference, boys or girls.
Okay.
Reading. It's so funny. He switches back and forth. He goes,
maybe because he means both, but in Lashon HaKodesh, you can only say it male or female.
You wouldn't say Tinaikim. It would be Tinaikais.
Or he would outright, yeah. Tinaikais shall base Rabban.
Yeah. That's how we say it, right? Good point. Sorry, my grammar's not the greatest.
So in this case, by kids, plural becomes feminine.
Right. Makes sense. And when you say banim or banais, if you're saying
banim
about
means children,
you use the masculine, like
right. If it's male and female children, sons, daughters. If it's sons and daughters, you call them banim, means children.
Right. Okay, so this makes sense. Sorry, yeah, fine. So yeah,
Why?
so
Because the mothers come to the school.
pick them up.
For their children to pick their kids up.
Even today's day and age, by the way, when I go to pick up my kids, there are plenty of guys, but it's still mostly the ladies still outnumber us.
Right.
The mothers, there's still more women picking up the kids, especially the little kids in the middle of the day, like but
Right.
even at the 4 o'clock, there's still more ladies in their minivans and stuff than us guys.
Right.
It tends to be that's how it goes. But this is interesting that it's not.
Yeah.
We're worried that he's gonna turn them on. I thought we're worried he's gonna get all hot and bothered.
Okay, well, it would have to be both.
Yeah,
Really.
so I don't
So
understand.
maybe he picks one. Maybe that's because ultimately it's got to be both.
So there must be. I'm wondering someone must comment on it because what I always thought it was. We're not worried about them. We're worried about him because he doesn't have anyone to go home to have an outlet with this.
Right.
It looks like no one even the Chacham or the Beis Shmuel. They don't comment on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I don't see anything so early here. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, but I mean, let's continue. Sorry.
In any case, v'chein isha lo tilmad ketanim. So too, a woman should not teach. Meaning a woman who's not what's it called? Who's unmarried should not teach little kids. Why? Because same thing. The fathers come.
So it wouldn't matter if she's single or married.
Why?
Because it's still going to be yichud. If they come to pick up their, that's what I'm saying. But ketanim also.
No, misgara is different. It's not yichud.
No, not misgara. What?
It's because she's becoming regular with like regular like. And by the way, it looks like it's the same thing. The misgara, obviously, that's why they don't come in.
No. I'm not misgara. The next thing, v'chein isha loy telamed ketanim if they have a sayhem. They're going to come pick up their kids.
Oh, you're right. Fine. So fine. Right. So then even more so. But then even more so, what he's saying is that the girui is dafka when it's the man.
Yeah, but what's interesting also is by when it's the male teacher, and we're talking about it could be big kids. We're worried there could be problems when they come pick them up. There could be big kids, even just out in the parking lot. They could spark some sort of relationship. Right. By the female teacher, we're worried, but we're not worried about that. We're
only worried about yichud specifically.
It's little kids, ketanim, not tinaikes, not little kids, because then there could actually be yichud. With bigger kids.
Right. With bigger kids, there is no yichud, we said before already, because the bigger kids stuck.
They'll stop it.
Right.
Here we're saying there could be
actually. There, you're not worried about yichud, so you don't have right. Interesting. Yeah. Here it's dafka with small children. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm almost done. I've just this last one. I'm in the middle of the last one.
Short.
Yeah.
And now a third thing.
It wasn't even. No. If you want, I'll show you on the clock, but it wasn't. V'chein isha lo'itamat ketanim mipnei avisayim she'im boim biglal b'neihem. Right, now the teacher, his wife doesn't have to be there with him, but rather she's at home. He teaches whatever, Haezer in the school, whatever it is.
Right, he goes home to her. He has a wife. That's enough.
Right. So let's look at the Beis Shmuel that an unmarried man should not teach children. Whether boys or girls. And so too a woman shouldn't teach, right? Also, same thing. It doesn't make a difference. Boys or girls, they shouldn't teach them if they're not married. Right? And if it turns out that he's misgara in the women, kan kosov misgara. Here it writes misgara, right? Excites them.
Yeah.
And with the woman, it says that they're going to have yichud nira kan. So we see here afilu im leika yichud also mishum giri benashim. That in this case where it's the man and it's the mothers, so we're worried about this. On the other hand, by noshim loy shayach girui. Ve'ein isra ela misyachdin, and there's no isra unless there's actual yichud. I wonder if it means the other way around. That when it's saying Mizgara ben Noshim, it means he gets excited, because usually that's why you have a mechitza. The women are allowed to see the men aren't allowed to see the women.
So
Why?
Also, the whole reason why it's only a problem when he's single, and why when he's married it's okay, because then he goes home and
right.
You're not,
Right.
You're not worried about
So
that.
yeah.
They'll, if they're turned on, that's fine. They'll go home to their husbands. The only problem is that
Right.
he's a single guy. He has no outlet. We don't know.
So I think maybe that and Bechlal in general, the string you see in halacha is more so that. Well, then again, you also see on the one hand you have the kal zadas, and on the one hand that they're easier, more easier.
You have to read it that way. Even in the words of the Beis Shmuel, if you look at the words, it seems to directly contradict itself. Right. Giri b'noshim, avol b'noshim lo shayach giri. Hello. So mishum giri b'noshim means with women, meaning a man. When
I think it's that the man becomes excited with the
on, but by women themselves, lo shayach giri.
Right. They're not going to get excited.
Right. So then we're only worried about yichud.
Right. Then he continues, so to a woman, etc. Even a married woman. Oh, interesting. Oh, because that's about yichud. So yichud is also with a married woman. When it's about excitement, it has to do with single.
Right. Here, could be married or single, doesn't matter.
Here it's yichud. The yichud with an isha ish, you're not allowed. So he says, even if she's married, mishum gabi ish, because by a man, kivan the ishta imai, since his wife is with him, he mishamarte. She guards him. Why? Because it's her way to be in her house. But it's not the way of a man to be in his house, right? He's back then anyway. Nowadays things are a little bit different. But Ken Kosov Kesef Mishnah. Since it's his way to travel to different places, so therefore it's not allowed. But if he's in the city, it's fine. Like it says later. Not like I don't know which Drisha is talking about the Nagod.
I will say, by the way, the Piskei Tshuva they bring in the PDF here, bring Rabbi Kiva Eger. The whole thing of She'en Lo Isha means Badafka, the guy's just a single guy. A married guy, he said, there is what to rely on to be Makel, even if the guy's wife isn't in town.
Right.
The fact that he's married, he'll be like, okay, maybe not today, but whatever. I can hold off until
right.
I don't know when I'm gonna get a chance to be with a woman. Like, who knows? You know when that's gonna be. A guy who's married, he's like, okay, whatever, fine. It'll be another week. It'll be also same thing. It's not only a teacher who's married and his wife is tahar to him right now. It's not Nida time. It's not the
right. Right, but it's just a matter of his regular thing. He's
married. That's right.
And according to the reason I wrote in the prior seif, mahani it helps if his wife is in the city, and in that case we are not worried about him getting excited. And therefore we're not worried about yichud. We're not worried that he's going to go be misyachid with them. However, this is difficult. That explains here, even if his wife isn't with him, it's okay. So how can you say that his wife is there? She what's it called? Meaning by a woman, since she's usually in the house and he can walk in at any point, it helps. By a man, his wife has to actually be with him. So here, how can you say there's no what's it called? His wife is not actually in him. The Efshe, the Svira lay, so it's possible he holds afilu ein ishte shlimi v'seifed. Maybe he holds that even if his wife isn't with him in the school, Mikol Makim b'chol eis. At any point she can come there, like almost like a nichnas v'yetze, right? So you can say that basically she's watching him. But he's in a different city. Hi, baby. But if he's in a different city, then it's also you hear he's telling me hi, baby. He told me hi, baby.
Hi, baby.
In Cain, so if he's in a different city, then it's no good. Because of betaz b'shem tshuvas mirenu rav. What was it? Yankov Weil. Misha ein like isha. somebody who does not have a wife, lo yishker what is it? Mi shrisas, mi sharisas almana. He should not become drunk. Oh, Yisker, sorry. I put the dot on the wrong side. He should not rent.
Oh, yeah.
He should not rent by a room by an almana. Even if she has a son by her. Why? The son's not always going to be there.
Right.
And that's if he's living by himself in the house. And so we're going to the sorry. Oh, I did the Beis Shmuel first, I guess. Okay, so we're going to the Chalkis Mechekik. A woman should not teach small children. From he didn't say an almana, mashma the bechol isha mighty. It's talking about any woman, not just a non-married woman or a widow. As long as her husband is not in the city, we're worried that maybe she'll come to be secluded with him. But by a man, that the problem by him is not we're not worried about the yichud, rather we're worried about shlei's gada b'noshim. He shouldn't become excited. Therefore, it's specifically when he doesn't have a wife. But if his wife is somewhere else, he has bread in his basket. Right? He has bread in his basket. And therefore his Yitzhahar is not going to get excited about him because he's married. He doesn't have the same level of tithing. And however, how he finished off, that his wife doesn't have to be with him in the school. So the mashma that however she does have to be in the city. That she's basically ready for him. She's his wife is available to him, so to speak.
He's open to
yeah. Ayin babach and in the bach, and that is the end of Chof Beis. Hey, Mazel Tov. We finished Chof Beis, and Mirza Hashem, next time we'll move on to Chof Gimel, and then and then on to Kiddushin. All right. Okay, a good night, Shabbos.
It's a fun Mazel Tov.
Yeah.